They didn't sleep. There wasn't time to pretend otherwise, so 𝓚𝓚𝓬𝓻 led 𝓞𝓬𝓱𝓪 and 𝓭𝓬 through the dark campus, toward the one door she'd never once considered knocking on, Aizawa's. He opened it before she finished raising her hand, already dressed, already awake in that way he seemed to always be, capture weapon coiled loosely at his side like an afterthought. His eyes went from 𝓚𝓚𝓬𝓻 to 𝓞𝓬𝓱𝓪 to 𝓭𝓬 in the space of a breath, and something in his face didn't do what 𝓚𝓚𝓬𝓻 braced for. It didn't harden. "Explain," he said, fast. So she did. The rooftop, the warehouse, the wound, the crawl space, all of it spilling out of her in a rush that left no room for the careful lies she'd rehearsed for months in case this moment ever came. She told him about twice at the perimeter wall, about the League closing in, about days that might only be hours. She told him she'd broken every rule she was supposed to live by, and she wasn't sorry, not for the parts that mattered. Aizawa listened without interrupting, and when she finished, the silence stretched long enough that 𝓚𝓚𝓬𝓻's pulse counted every second of it. "You understand what you're telling me," he said finally. "That you hid a wanted individual inside a hero training facility for weeks." "Yes. That by every regulation in the book, I should be calling this in right now, and you with it." "Yes," 𝓚𝓚𝓬𝓻 said again, steadier than she felt, because there was nothing left to lose by being honest that hadn't already been risked. Aizawa turned to 𝓭𝓬, who stood very still, chin lifted like she was braced to be dragged away in cuffs and determined not to flinch when it happened. He studied her the way he studied everything, looking for the shape of the truth under the surface of it. "You came here hurt and you stayed," he said. "You didn't rob this school blind. You didn't hurt anyone inside it. You told a woman built to lie to villains that you weren't going back to them." He exhaled, long and rough, like something in his chest had been holding still for a very long time. "That's not what a villain does when they've got the run of an unlocked building full of children." "I'm not," 𝓭𝓬 started and stopped, like she didn't trust the sentence to survive being finished. "You're not a villain," Aizawa said. "Not to us, not tonight." He looked at 𝓚𝓚𝓬𝓻. "That doesn't erase what you did. We'll deal with that later and it won't be gentle. But right now there's a bigger problem walking toward this campus, and I am not interested in handing them anyone." He was already moving, already pulling his phone from his pocket, voice sharpening into the register 𝓚𝓚𝓬𝓻 recognized from drills. The one that meant this is real now. Within minutes, the dormitory intercom crackled awake. Staff phones lit up floor by floor, and lights bloomed in windows across campus like the whole building had been startled out of the same dream. 𝓵𝓸𝓰𝓪's voice barked instructions somewhere down the hall. Someone was moving barricades. Somewhere outside, All Might's silhouette crossed a floodlit courtyard at a pace that made the ground feel steadier just from the sight of him. Amid the controlled chaos, in the strange eye of it, 𝓞𝓬𝓱𝓪 reappeared at the crawl space's mouth with something small and squirming cradled against her chest. "I found this thing shivering behind the incinerator like an hour ago," she said, breathless, like she couldn't decide if the timing was terrible or perfect. "Figured somebody who's about to have the worst week of her life could use a distraction that isn't, imminent violence." She held out the kitten, gray, scrawny, one ear folded wrong, and 𝓭𝓬 took it like she wasn't sure her hands remembered how to hold something that wasn't a knife or a bandage. The kitten mewed, indignant, and burrowed into the crook of her elbow, and something in 𝓭𝓬's face cracked open in a way none of the danger outside had managed to do. "It's ugly," 𝓭𝓬 said, voice thick. "It's yours," 𝓞𝓬 said. "Don't overthink it." 𝓭𝓬 didn't laugh, not really, but the sound she made was close enough to count. She pressed her face briefly against the kitten's matted fur, and 𝓚𝓚𝓬𝓻 watched her hold onto that small, ordinary, undangerous thing like it was proof of something she'd stopped letting herself hope for. That softness could exist in the same hands that had been taught only to survive. Aizawa found them a few minutes later, expression grim in the corridor light. "They're moving faster than we thought," he said. "Scouts on the east perimeter, maybe 20 minutes out. We're locking down the dorms and getting every hero on staff to the wall." His gaze settled on Toga, then on the kitten she hadn't put down. "You two aren't staying to fight. Whatever's coming isn't yours to survive here." "Where do we go?" 𝓬𝓬𝓱𝓪 asked, and the question felt enormous, the whole shape of a life she was about to leave folded into 3 words. "Somewhere they won't think to look first," Aizawa said. "I'll buy you the start of a head start, that's all I can promise." 𝓬𝓬𝓱𝓪 looked at Toga, at the kitten curled against her collarbone, at the exhaustion and disbelief, and something achingly close to hope written across her face, and felt the last of her old certainties finish dissolving, replaced by something rougher and more real. "Okay," she said, to Aizawa, to Toga, to the life waiting to be built out of whatever they carried out the gate. "Then let's not waste the time he's giving us."